He wasn't supposed to be there that late, not again. The rain had soaked through his hoodie, and his shoes left small puddles on the worn floorboards as he quietly pushed open the apartment door. The clock on the wall glared at him with judgment, 11:48 p.m. He thought everyone would be asleep. But then, leaning casually against the hallway wall with her arms crossed, was Emma, his roommate's older sister. Her voice was calm but sharp enough to slice through the heavy silence. "You're late again," she said. That was the thing about Emma, she didn't need to yell to make you feel seen. Or small. Or guilty. And for reasons he didn't yet understand, her quiet disappointment hit him harder than any scolding could. He froze, hands still on the doorframe. "Yeah, I lost track of time." "Right," she murmured, pushing herself off the wall, her bare feet making no sound on the wood. "Lost track again." She walked past him toward the small living room, the dim light catching in her hair. "You know, Jason worries about you," she added without looking back. "He says you've been shutting everyone out lately." He didn't reply. What was he supposed to say? That she was right? That since his mom's passing 3 months ago, time didn't mean much to him anymore? That he didn't know how to exist in a world that kept moving when everything inside him had stopped. Instead, he gave a shrug that said drop it. "But she didn't, Ethan," she said softly, turning to face him now, her tone no longer sharp but unbearably gentle. "You can't keep doing this. Disappearing for hours, coming home looking like you've walked through a storm." "I did walk through a storm," he muttered. "That's not what I meant." Something cracked in his chest then. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, not with pity, but with recognition, like she'd once known the same kind of loneliness that kept him awake at night. He ran a hand through his damp hair. "You don't get it." She tilted her head. "Try me." And that was how it started. Not a confession. Not a friendship. Just a late-night conversation between two people who both had too many walls up and no idea that, in time, they'd help each other tear them down. For the next few weeks, Ethan noticed her more. Emma wasn't around much. She worked double shifts at the hospital, took care of her younger brother Jason, and somehow still found time to make the place feel alive. There were always coffee mugs in the sink, a blanket left on the couch, and music playing low when she was home. She filled the silence he hated so much that he started coming home earlier, sometimes catching her cooking or reading by the window. At first, they barely spoke beyond polite words, but slowly, something shifted. One evening, she caught him staring at a framed photo on the counter. Her and Jason, smiling with their parents. "That was before Dad left," she said quietly, almost as if to herself. Ethan hesitated. "You mean, he just left?" "Yeah." One morning, he was gone. No note. No calls. Just gone. She looked up, meeting his eyes. "So trust me when I say I know what it's like when someone just disappears from your world." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the refrigerator filled the silence between them. Then Ethan said, "My mom didn't want to leave. Cancer didn't give her a choice." Her expression softened. She didn't say "I'm sorry, thank God." Instead, she just nodded, as if saying "I get it." And that meant more than any sympathy ever could. It became their quiet ritual. Late-night talks in the kitchen, sometimes about nothing, sometimes about everything. He told her how he hated how the world expected him to move on. She told him how she'd built her life around responsibility because she couldn't afford to fall apart. Somewhere between laughter and tears, something fragile and real began to grow. But then came the night Jason found out. He'd walked in on them sitting close, their hands brushing as they talked. Nothing inappropriate, just too intimate to explain away. "Seriously?" Jason's voice cracked. "My sister? Ethan, you're my best friend." Ethan jumped up, guilt flooding his face. "It's not what it looks like." "Oh, come on, man. It looks exactly like what it looks like." Jason's eyes went to his sister. "You knew he's been struggling, and you'd stop," Emma said sharply. "You don't get to talk like that." Jason's chest rose and fell, anger mixing with hurt. "You always fix people, Emma. You did it with Dad, with Mom, and now him. When's the last time you fixed yourself?" Her silence was answer enough. He grabbed his jacket and slammed the door on his way out. The apartment felt painfully quiet afterward. Ethan sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. He hates me now. Emma sat across from him, her voice barely above a whisper. He'll calm down. He just doesn't understand yet. He looked up at her, then really looked. The exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of too many responsibilities. Emma, I never meant for this to happen. You didn't deserve to get caught in my mess. She gave a sad little smile. You're not a mess, Ethan. You're healing. It just looks messy sometimes. He wanted to say something, anything, but instead, he stood and said, maybe I should go for a while. Let things cool down. Her lips parted, as if to stop him, but she only nodded. Just, don't disappear again, okay? He hesitated at the door, the same place he'd first seen her leaning against the wall that night. And he said quietly, only if you promise to take your own advice. 2 months later, he returned. The air felt different, lighter somehow. Jason greeted him with a quiet apology, and things, though awkward, began to settle back into place. But it was Emma he looked for first. He found her on the balcony at sunset, leaning against the railing. When she turned and saw him, her eyes softened. You're late again, she said, that familiar teasing warmth in her voice. He smiled, walking up beside her. Yeah, he said, but this time, I came back. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. Healing, and in that quiet moment, he realized something. Some people enter your life not to stay forever, but to help you find your way back to yourself. Emma had done that for him. And maybe, in his own broken way, he'd done that for her too.